Hello, Pally.
Today is Wednesday, April 10, 2019.
And INFocus starts right now. The Pentagon starts giving contracts for the border wall.
The submission for STN contest anchor team.
And a brief weather report from Ingrid Eichow.
All that and more is coming up on today's show.
Welcome to INFocus. I'm Nurna Vaid.
And I'm Ori Nirpaz.
There's a lot going on around campus.
Let's kick it off with some announcements from today's campus bulletin.
Cal Day at UC Berkeley includes tours, events, and info sessions for incoming students, prospective students, alumni, and the general public. The event will take place on the UC Berkeley campus this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Service Day is Monday, April 22nd. While some students will be excused from class to go out and volunteer at sites, Key Club will be hosting an on-campus activity during lunch on the quad. Students who would like to volunteer at an off-campus site should sign up at the link on the screen. The Palo Alto Teen Advisory Board and the Palo Alto Youth Council will be hosting an event called Palopalooza on Friday, April 26th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Mitchell Park Community Center. There will also be a social media giveaway on their Instagram at MP Teen Services to potentially win a Hydro Flask.
The annual Stanford Paramedical Conference is a great opportunity for students interested in medicine to interact with physicians. This year will feature the theme Medicine in the World, exploring global health and medical humanities. SBC 2019 will take place on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pali Theatre is performing its annual One Acts. Auditions are being held today after school for any students interested in being a part of one of 6 short shows that are student-directed, with all but one being student-written.
Moving on now from what's going on around campus to what's happening in the world and locally today.
Let's take a look at what's topping today's headlines in today's News Minute.
2 construction companies were awarded funding to build a wall at the U.S. southern border. Tuesday, the Defense Department announced nearly $1 billion in funds have been contracted out for wall construction. Both contracts include the construction of a 5-foot anti-climb plate and should be completed in late 2020.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say a mysterious E. coli outbreak has expanded, with 96 people sickened in 5 states. That's an increase from the 72 reported infections Friday. Health officials say no one has died, but 11 people were hospitalized. People started getting sick in early March, but the source of the outbreak isn't yet known.
Speaking of illnesses, immunization data is now being scrutinized by parents as the California measles outbreak expands. Despite cases of the measles now showing up in Santa Clara County, some Palo Alto schools still have up to 12% of elementary school students who do not have all of the CDC recommended vaccines, according to data from the California Department of Public Health. Dr. Ross Dehovitz, an immunization expert at Palo Alto Medical Foundation, believes that resistance to vaccination is the cause of the outbreak.
While the current topic of child vaccination has been debatable, one thing we can all agree on is the importance of treating each other with kindness.
Absolutely. But history isn't always filled with kindness, and Max Bonstetter is in the studio now with a moment in history that was less than kind.
I hear you have some sad news to tell on this show's segment of Today in History. Is that right, Max?
Unfortunately, I do. In 1942, the day after the surrender of the main Philippine island of Luzon to the Japanese, the 75,000 Filipino and American troops captured on the Bataan Peninsula began a forced march to a prison camp. During this infamous trek, known as the Bataan Death March, the prisoners were forced to march 85 miles in 6 days. Hundreds of Americans and many more Filipinos had died. In the Philippines, homage is paid to the victims every April on Bataan Day, a national holiday. That's all from me. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Max. While in Seattle, I had the chance to compete in the Anchor Team contest with fellow INFocus anchor Maddie Drucker.
Noor and Maddie were given a list of 6 news stories and had to pick one and edit which ones to include in our submission. Without further ado, here is our Anchor Team contest.
Good morning, STN. I'm Maddie Drucker.
And I'm Noor Naved.
A group of local students have discovered their passion and their hard work is paying off.
2 Seattle high school bands are part of 15 finalists set to compete in the 24th annual Essentially Ellington High School Jazz Band Competition in New York City this May. Garfield and Roosevelt High Schools were chosen from a group of 112 jazz bands after submitting 3 of their recording performances. The competition aims to unite students from diverse backgrounds, giving them the opportunity to perform some of the most complex jazz ever written.
High school bands are not the only ones finding success, though, Noor. Washington's football players have recently gained recognition as the state contains 5 of the nation's top 50 recruits for 2021.
Absolutely, and a potential reason for their athletic success may be that Seattle has been named the 2nd most healthy city in the U.S., according to Wallet Hub. Healthy food options, including farmers markets and plenty of access to hiking and walking trails, contribute to this ranking.
For Student Television Network, I'm Maddie Drucker.
And I'm Noor Naved.
Good morning,
Oh, this is not good.
Now let's move on to sports.
Trey Bishoping is in the studio now with the latest in Pali sports news.
I heard we took home some wins last night, Trey.
That's right, Noor, but unfortunately, we do not have the scores for you today. Be sure to report your scores to Max Preps, or remind your stats person to upload the scores. Today, we have boys and girls varsity track at home against Milpitas starting at 3:30. Boys varsity tennis is away at Mountain View at 4 p.m. Boys baseball battles Wilcox today. The varsity squad is at home at 4 p.m. and the JV team is away at Wilcox also at 4 p.m. Girls softball meets Monta Vista. The JV team is at home at 4 p.m. while the varsity squad will be at Monta Vista at 4 p.m. Finally, the boys JV volleyball is home facing Fremont at 5:30. That's all from me. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Trey. Now, it's been getting awfully hot lately, or just warmer than it has been, right, Ori?
That's right, Nora. Here to tell us about how hot it is today, our meteorologist Ingrid Paichow is in the studio now with today's weather report.
What can we expect out there, Ingrid?
Well, Nor and Ori, today's going to be pretty hot and it's going to continue to be pretty hot, a little bit windy. The high for today is going to be 69, the low is going to be 50, with a gust of wind blowing at 14 miles per hour. Now looking at Thursday and Friday, Thursday's going to be a little bit cloudy, not as warm probably. High is going to be 62 and the low is going to be 49. Now looking at Friday, it's going to still be hot. The high is going to be 69 and the low is going to be 49. Now looking at our 5cast, you can see that it's going to be hot for most of the week. The highs are going to be between the low 60s and low 70s, while the lows are going to be around the high 40s and low 50s. Now looking at the Doppler map, you can see that San Francisco and Oakland, the highs are going to be 65 and 70. Palo Alto is going to be 69, San Jose is also going to be 60 now, while the lows are going to be all in the low 50s. That's all from me. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks for that, Ingrid. Well, that does it for today's episode.
Be sure to visit our website to check out old episodes, check the bulletin, or to send us an email.
Until next time, have a great day, Pally.